A baseball coach from LaFleur County says he didn't think twice when one of his players called him from a hotel room saying that a man had pulled a knife on him. This happened recently when the team was in Shawnee, Oklahoma for a game. 5 News reporter Taylor Howard spoke with the coach, who says his only thought was getting his players somewhere safe. It's a story you'll only see on 5 News.
Kevin Lohman has spent years teaching his players what it means to be a good teammate.
And nobody's really going to care what your batting average is 5 years from now. They're going to care what kind of person you are.
August 16th, he got a chance to show them. Lohman and his Cameron High School baseball team were staying at a hotel in Shawnee. Around 9 that night, his phone rang.
It was one of my kids saying that someone just pulled a knife on him. So, I'm responsible for 13 high school boys.
Lohman says he told his players to get into their rooms and call 911. When he stepped into the hallway, a Shawnee police report says Christopher Stevens was by the elevator with an open knife. Lohman told him to put it down. He says Stevens kept coming toward him.
I had to react, and I didn't have much time to think about it.
Police report says Lohman punched Stevens several times, then held him down until officers got there. The report says 2 knives were found at the scene. Stevens was arrested and no one was hurt. Lohman is now being represented by Fort Smith attorney Joey McCutcheon. McCutcheon says what Lohman did that night went beyond what's normally asked of a coach.
He literally put his life on the line for his players, and that's something that they're going to remember throughout their life.
But Lohman doesn't call himself a hero.
I don't think I'm a hero. I just think I would do it again. I think most coaches or most people I know would do the same thing.
He says when those 13 players are with him, they're his responsibility.
I think this situation might be at another level where they know I'll fight for them.
In Fort Smith, covering news where you live, Taylor Howard, 5 News.
Stevens was arrested and booked into the Pottawatomie County Safety Center. The Shawnee Police Department says that he faces counts of public intoxication as well as assault with a deadly weapon. Well, Arkansas Attorney General Tim Griffin and 50 other states and territories have reached a $17 billion settlement with Meta regarding the safety of children on social media. That lawsuit started 3 years ago, and Arkansas was the first state to sue the parent company of Facebook and Instagram. Arkansas is guaranteed at least $172 million, but that number could be even higher. And this is also the state's largest ever settlement from a big tech company. As part of the agreement, Meta will also implement new safety features.
The framework we've negotiated will empower parents to easily manage their children's access to our platforms. Our new time limit commitments, night mode features, and usage limits during school hours set the right path forward for our whole industry. But this framework will only work if all our peers join us.
Meta is also asking TikTok and YouTube to add those same protections. Oklahoma is set to get $235 million in that settlement. Well, a new report says a shocking number of Arkansans are still facing hunger, even with support. The survey by the Arkansas Hunger Relief Alliance says in the last decade, food banks have seen more donations, but food insecurity rates are still climbing. 14% of the state is not meeting food needs and doesn't have any benefits for support. That's more than 400,000 Arkansans. Many also don't seek assistance. The survey says 40% of people experiencing hunger don't reach out for help. Meanwhile, 23% do have assistance benefits, but their needs still aren't met. The Alliance says the new study will help frame this issue as an intersection between food access and access to assistance benefits. Well, state lawmakers heard the latest update in the Franklin County Prison Project this week. We first told you this month the state of Arkansas was looking at other options and was considering moving on from the project. It's all to address overcrowded jails. And as Carter Thweet shows us, sheriffs from across the state say a solution is needed soon.
The prosecutors, the Department of Corrections, the sheriffs, everybody coming and telling us we need prison beds was no surprise.
State Senator Alan Clark says while he kept an open mind, he was pretty confident that would be the answer. On Tuesday, Polk County Sheriff Scott Sawyer told Clark's committee just how much prison space is needed.
The state backup list is 2,506 inmates. That's inmates that are in the county jails waiting for a bed in the prisons. 70% of those offenders are violent, so we're dealing with violent convicted felon offenders. in county jails that are not designed for that.
Department of Corrections officials agreed more space is needed, but some lawmakers quickly shifted to Governor Sanders' preferred option, a controversial prison in Franklin County the legislature declined to fund in 2025.
The article last week said Franklin County prison proposal canceled. Officials working on plans to expand existing prisons. Is that an accurate statement?
As far as the Franklin County project being canceled, I don't believe that is an accurate statement. We're looking at other alternatives while we talk about the larger issue of the bed space, the funding for the Franklin County project, or whatever the case may be.
Clark says he agrees the state needs more prison space, but he's not throwing his support behind the Franklin County prison or any other solution. The committee plans to meet monthly starting in September through next year's legislative session.
It's kind of going to be brainstorming sessions and bring us the ideas, and I really have no idea where we're going and have no preference. I just want to solve the problem, and I think that's where most people are.
That's Carter Thweet reporting. Lawmakers also heard from a group called Decarcerate, who says the solution isn't more prison space, but having fewer people in prison. Clark says that perspective will stay part of the conversation as the committee is weighing its options. Meanwhile, the focus today at the state capitol was on the future of space exploration. NASA leaders presented to lawmakers where the state could fit into what they call the Space Race 2.0. NASA is aiming to build a permanent lunar base on the moon. And NASA says while Arkansas may not usually be top of mind in space conversations, the state can play a part in this effort.
It's not just reserved for Texas, Florida, Alabama, where you have the big centers. Arkansas can be a huge player in this. We're looking for contributions not only from government, but from industry and academia. The partnerships that you have in this state already existing with DOD could be leveraged to help NASA.
NASA also visited the aerospace company in Maumelle, where optical encoders are made. Those are sensors that track a moving part using light. Meanwhile, in Bentonville, some of the biggest names in aerospace and defense were talking about the future of national defense. The Aerospace Defense Summit brought together members of Congress, along with big names like Boeing, Lockheed Martin, and General Dynamics. Local companies also showed off technology and services they provide to the industry. 3rd District Congressman Steve Womack says the U.S. needs to keep up with rapidly changing technology while also building up its military capabilities. He says that means prioritizing defense spending, even as the country is dealing with a growing national debt.
You prioritize defense spending because if you're not a safe and secure nation, if you can't protect yourself and your friends and your allies, your partners around the world, then nothing else matters.
Womack says Congress will have to find savings or other resources to increase defense funding without adding to the country's deficit. We learned tonight another Arkansas city is considering what to do with those controversial license plate readers or flock cameras. Siloam Springs is set to hear a presentation during their regular meeting next week. The city's police department posted on their social media page saying that they wanted to answer some questions the community had. The department has 4 flock cameras and says they're only used to take still images of license plates. They also posted a link to a transparency website that shares information like search activity and hot list hits from the past 30 days. Centerton and Pea Ridge are among those that have ended their contracts with Flock in the last month. Siloam Springs will discuss the matter next Tuesday. Well, we now know the final 2 candidates in the race to be Oklahoma's next governor, and we are hearing from the Republican candidate for the first time since his victory in the runoff. Mike Mazie defeated State Attorney General Gentner Drummond in a tight race last night. Mazie earned just 2,000 more votes to secure the victory. He now moves on to face Democrat candidate Cindy Munson in the November midterm election.
My Democrat opponent believes in higher taxes and more government spending, no relief from unfair property taxes, and that boys should play in girls' sports. We will not let that happen.
Munson's campaign says it is focused on investing in public schools, lower health care costs, and repealing the state abortion ban. We learned tonight Ozarks Electric is breaking away from the state electric cooperative. Ozarks Electric serves customers across 9 counties in northwest Arkansas and Oklahoma, and right now it's part of the state's Electric Cooperative Corporation, a nonprofit business owned by the customers it serves. Ozarks says leaving the co-op, becoming a long-term wholesale power customer, will give it more flexibility to handle future growth. The change will happen in 2030. Both groups say customers should not see any impact to their electric service.